I was 23 when I got my first real paycheck. Not the kind you get from bussing tables or stocking shelves. I mean the kind that makes you feel like maybe, just maybe, you've made it. I remember standing in the parking lot of that tech company in Austin, staring at the direct deposit notification on my phone. $68,000 a year. To a kid who grew up sharing a bedroom with two brothers in a 3-bedroom rental in San Antonio, it felt like winning the lottery. The first person I called was my mom. "Mio," she said, and I could hear her voice crack even through the phone. "I'm so proud of you." I drove home that weekend. 3 hours on I-35, windows down, radio up, feeling like I could touch the sky. Mom made my favorite carne asada with flour tortillas she'd rolled out herself that morning. Dad shook my hand at the door, which was his version of a hug. My older sister Maria was there with her 2 kids, and my younger brother Danny showed up late, smelling like cigarettes and looking tired in a way 20-year-olds shouldn't look tired. We ate together at the same scratched-up wooden table where I'd done my homework as a kid. The same table where Mom used to count out bills every month, making piles, moving them around like chess pieces, trying to make the numbers work. "So what are you gonna do with all that money?" Maria asked, bouncing her youngest on her knee. I laughed. "I don't know. Save it, I guess. Maybe get a nicer apartment." Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her fingers were rough from years of cleaning houses. "You worked so hard for this, Mio. You deserve nice things." But there was something in her eyes, not quite sadness, not quite hope. Something in between. Dad cleared his throat. "The truck's been making a noise," he said, not looking at me. "Mechanic says it's the transmission. Wants $3,000 to fix it." The table got quiet. "I got it," I heard myself say. "I'll take care of it." Mom's eyes filled up. "No, Daniel, that's your money." "Ma, it's fine. Really. What's the point of having it if I can't help?" That's how it started. 3 months later, Maria called. Her voice was small on the phone, embarrassed. "Danny, I hate to ask." Her husband had lost his overtime hours at the warehouse. They were short on rent, just this once. $800. I sent 1,000. Then Danny needed help with a DUI lawyer. Dad's diabetes medication wasn't fully covered by insurance. Mom's car needed new tires. Maria's oldest needed braces. The water heater broke. The roof was leaking. Someone was always short on something, and I always said yes, because that's what you do, right? When you're the one who made it out, who got the degree, who landed the good job, you help. You pull the ladder up behind you, but you pull everyone else up with it. That's what family means. At least that's what I told myself. The requests came more frequently. Not always big things. Sometimes Maria needed grocery money. Sometimes Danny needed gas to get to job interviews that never seemed to pan out. Mom would call about the property tax bill, the insurance, the this, the that. I started keeping a spreadsheet. Not because I wanted to track it exactly, but because I needed to understand where my money was going. By the end of my first year at that job, I'd sent home almost $22,000. My friends from college were buying new cars, taking trips to Colorado, furnishing their apartments with more than milk crates and a futon. I was still sleeping on an air mattress and eating ramen 4 nights a week, but it was worth it, I told myself. Family first. I met Sarah at a company mixer when I was 25. She worked in marketing, had a laugh that made everyone around her laugh too, and wore her confidence like other people wore perfume. We started dating in that easy way that happens when you just click with someone. She came home with me for Christmas that first year. Mom loved her immediately, pulled her into the kitchen to show her how to make tamales. Dad asked her about her work and actually listened to the answer. Maria's kids climbed all over her. On the drive back to Austin, Sarah was quiet for a long time. "Your family is amazing," she finally said. "Yeah, they are." "Can I ask you something?" I glanced over at her. Sure, an envelope your mom gave you at the door when we were leaving. Was that what I think it was? My hands tightened on the steering wheel. What do you mean, Daniel? Her voice was gentle. I saw the bills. That looked like at least a few $100s. I didn't say anything. How often does that happen? It's not a big deal, I said. They need help sometimes. I'm in a position to help, so I do. She nodded slowly. Okay, I want to make sure you're taking care of yourself too. I am, but we both knew that wasn't quite true. By the time I was 27, I'd been promoted twice. I was making $90,000 a year, which should have felt like a fortune, but I was barely scraping by. The requests had become expectations. The emergencies had become routine. Maria called every month like clockwork. Danny called whenever. He needed drinking money, though he always had a story-ready: car trouble, rent money, a bill that had to be paid or else. Mom didn't ask directly anymore. She just mentioned problems and waited for me to offer solutions. I started dodging calls. I'd see Mom's name light up my phone, and I'd feel my stomach clench. Love and dread all mixed up together, Sarah noticed. Of course she noticed. You can't keep doing this, she said one night. We were living together by then, in a small apartment that still felt too empty because I couldn't afford to furnish it properly. They're my family. I know. And I love that you want to help them. But Danny, they're not even grateful anymore. Your sister assumes you'll cover her rent every time her husband's hours get cut. Your brother has never paid you back a single time. And your parents. She stopped herself. What about my parents? Your dad just bought a new fishing boat. I stared at her. What? I saw the pictures on Facebook. Your mom tagged him. It looks expensive. My mouth went dry. He probably got a good deal, Daniel. She took my hand. You sent them $3,000 last month for bills, and now your dad has a boat. I pulled my hand away. You don't understand what it's like? Then help me understand, but I couldn't explain it. How do you explain the weight of being the first one to succeed? How do you describe the guilt that comes with having more when everyone you love has less? How do you put words to the fear that if you stop giving, they'll stop loving you? Sarah and I fought about it more and more. Small fights at first, then bigger ones. She wanted to save for a house. I wanted to help Danny with rehab when he finally admitted he had a problem. She wanted to take a vacation. Mom needed a new refrigerator. They're using you, Sarah said. Finally, during a fight that felt different from all the others. Harder, more final. They're not. Yes, they are. And the worst part is, you're letting them. Sarah and I broke up 3 months before I turned 29. She packed her things on a Sunday morning while I sat on the couch and watched, feeling like I was underwater. I love you, she said at the door, boxes in her arms. But I can't watch you destroy yourself for people who don't appreciate what you're sacrificing. I didn't call her back. Didn't fight to keep her. Because deep down, I knew she was right. But I still couldn't stop. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in March. I was 31, sitting at my desk at work when my bank called to tell me I'd overdrawn my account. I had $12 to my name, and it was 3 weeks until payday. I'd sent Maria $1,500 the week before. Danny had needed $800 for some bill he swore was urgent. Mom had mentioned that Dad needed new work boots, and maybe I could help out. I sat there in my cubicle, staring at my computer screen, and something inside me just broke. Not in a dramatic way, not with anger or yelling, just a quiet, tired kind of breaking. Like a rope that's been pulled too tight for too long. I went home that night to my still half-empty apartment, and I opened my spreadsheet. 7 years of transactions. I'd sent them over $190,000. $190,000. I could have bought a house. I could have started a business. I could have married Sarah and built a life with her. Instead, I had an air mattress and a TV on a folding table, and debt I'd accumulated trying to keep up. I called Maria first. Hey, what's up? She sounded distracted, kids screaming in the background. I can't send you money anymore. Silence. What? I can't do it anymore, Maria. I'm broke. Like, actually broke. Overdrawing my account broke. But rent is due next week. I know. I'm sorry. But I can't help this time. Danny, come on. Just this once. I'll pay you back. You've never paid me back. Not once in 7 years. More silence. So what am I supposed to do? Her voice had gone hard. You want us to get evicted? I want you to figure it out. Like I've had to figure it out. Like I've been figuring it out while sending you money every single month. Wow. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I can't believe you're doing this. Maria, I have to go. She hung up. I called Danny next. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail telling him the same thing. He texted back an hour later. Wow, bro, real nice family don't mean shit to you anymore, I guess. Then I called Mom. Mio, she answered, and I could hear the smile in her voice. That hurt worse than anything. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. I explained it all. The overdraft. The debt. The years of sending money home. How I couldn't do it anymore. She was quiet for a long time when I finished. I didn't realize it was so hard for you, she finally said. I didn't want you to know. I wanted to help. I wanted to be able to fix everything. But Mio, we never asked you to. You did, Mom. Maybe not directly, but you did. Every time you mentioned a problem, you knew I'd send money. Every time. Another long silence. I should talk to your father, she said quietly. I'll call you back. She didn't call back that night, or the next day, or the day after that. The silence was worse than anger would have been. Maria stopped responding to my texts. Danny blocked my number. Mom sent short, polite replies when I messaged her. The kind you'd send to an acquaintance, not your son. Dad didn't reach out at all. I spent Easter alone in my apartment, eating leftover Chinese food and scrolling through old photos on my phone. There was one from that first weekend when I'd driven home with news of my job. We were all around the table, smiling. Mom's hand on mine. Everyone looked so happy. I wondered when that happiness had turned into obligation. When love had become transaction. My cousin Rosa called in May. We'd been close as kids, but we'd drifted apart over the years. I heard what happened, she said. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's really hard. It's fine. No, it's not. She paused. Can I tell you something? Okay. They're telling everyone you abandoned them, that you got too good for the family, that success changed you. I closed my eyes. Of course they are. But Daniel, I know that's not true. I've watched you send money home for years. I've watched you sacrifice everything for them. And they've just taken it. They needed it. Did they, though? Your dad bought a boat. Your mom just renovated the kitchen. She posted pictures all over Facebook. Maria's husband has a truck that's newer than yours. And Danny, she sighed. Danny's still Danny. What are you saying? I'm saying they got comfortable. You made it easy for them to not have to struggle, to not have to make hard choices. And now that you've stopped, they're mad because they have to figure things out for themselves again. I wanted to argue with her, to defend them, but I couldn't. The worst part, Rosa continued, I don't think they even see what they did to you. They don't see how much you gave up. They just see what you're not giving anymore. We talked for 2 hours that night. She told me about her own struggles with family expectations, with being the successful one, with guilt and obligation. It helped, knowing I wasn't alone in feeling this way, but it didn't make the silence from my family any easier. Summer came. Then fall. I started therapy. Sarah had suggested years ago that I'd always been too busy or too broke to do. Dr. Martinez had kind eyes and a patient way of letting me talk myself in circles until I found the truth buried underneath. "Do you think they love you?" she asked one session. "Of course they do." "No, I mean, do you believe that their love for you is conditional on your financial support?" I sat with that question for a long time. "I don't know," I finally admitted. "Maybe I'm scared to find out. What would it mean if it was conditional? That everything I believed about family was wrong. That I was just ... useful, not loved." "Just useful?" She nodded slowly. "And what if their love wasn't conditional, but they were just bad at showing it? What if they loved you, but also took advantage of you? Not because they're evil, but because people are complicated and messy, and sometimes we hurt the people we love?" That was somehow harder to accept than the idea that they didn't love me at all. I turned 32 in November. No calls, no texts. Just a card from Rosa with a $20 bill inside and a note that said, "Buy yourself something nice for once." I went out to dinner alone, treated myself to a nice restaurant, the kind I'd always avoided because it felt too expensive. I ordered steak and a glass of wine and sat by the window watching people walk by. My phone buzzed. For a second, my heart jumped. Maybe it was Mom. Maybe they remembered, but it was just a notification about a software update. I finished my dinner slowly, savoring every bite. On the walk back to my apartment, I passed a furniture store. In the window was a bedroom set, a real bed with a headboard, knit stands, a dresser. The kind of furniture adults have. I walked inside and bought it. Paid for delivery and everything. It arrived 3 days later. The delivery guys hauled away my air mattress, and I spent that evening setting everything up. I made my bed with new sheets, arranged my books on the knit stand, stepped back and looked at this grown-up bedroom in my apartment. And I cried. Not sad tears, exactly. Maybe relief. Maybe grief for all the years I'd spent sleeping on air while sending money home. Maybe just exhaustion at finally stopping. Christmas came. I drove to Rosa's place in Houston instead. Her family welcomed me with warmth I hadn't felt in months. We made tamales and drank too much and laughed until our stomachs hurt. "Have you heard from them?" Rosa asked late on Christmas Eve. The kids were asleep, and we were sitting on her back porch, watching neighbors' lights twinkle in the cold. "No, I'm sorry. Don't be. I think I needed this. The space. To figure out who I am without them needing me. And who are you?" I smiled. Still figuring that out. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is your mom. New phone. Just wanted to say Merry Christmas." My hand shook holding the phone. "It's her," I told Rosa. "What are you going to do?" I typed back slowly. "Merry Christmas, Mom. I love you." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Love you too, Mio. Your dad says Merry Christmas too." That was it. No apology. No, we miss you. No, we were wrong. But it was something. January brought a cold snap to Texas that no one was prepared for. The power grid failed. Pipes froze. People died. I saw the news reports about San Antonio getting hit hard. I tried to call Mom. The call wouldn't go through. I tried Maria. Straight to voicemail. Danny. Nothing. Sat in my warm apartment in Austin, where the power had stayed on, and felt panic rise in my chest. I checked Facebook obsessively. Finally, Rosa commented on one of Mom's posts. They were okay. No power, but they were camping out at Rosa's cousin's place across town. The relief was overwhelming. I wanted to call them, to check on them, to offer to help, but I didn't because I'd learned something over these months of silence. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people stand on their own feet, even when they stumble. Even when you have the ability to catch them, the power came back after 4 days. I sent Mom a text, "Glad you're safe. Let me know if you need anything." She responded hours later, "Thank you, Mio. We're okay." Your dad got a generator? He got a generator. With what money? I wondered. But I didn't ask. Spring arrived with bluebonnets carpeting the highways. I got another promotion at work. Director of Engineering. $20,000 raise. A corner office with a view of downtown. I celebrated by taking myself on a trip to Colorado. Stayed in a cabin in the mountains. Hiked every day. Read books. Sat in silence and listened to the wind in the pines. On my last night there, I stood on the cabin's deck and called Sarah. I didn't expect her to answer. She did. "Hi," I said. "Hi." Her voice was cautious. "How are you?" "Better, different. I wanted to apologize for everything. You were right about all of it." She was quiet for a moment. "I wasn't trying to be right, Daniel. I was trying to help you. I know that now." We talked for an hour. She told me about her life. She was engaged now, getting married in June. I was happy for her. Genuinely happy. "I'm proud of you," she said before we hung up. "For figuring it out. Thank you. For everything. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself." After we said goodbye, I felt something shift. Like a door closing on one chapter and opening to another. May brought Mother's Day. I sent flowers to Mom's house with a card that just said, "I love you." She called an hour after they were delivered. Mio. Her voice was thick. "They're beautiful. I'm glad you like them. Daniel, She stopped. Started again. "Can we talk? Really talk?" "Yes." She told me to come over that Sunday. Just me and her and Dad. I almost said no. Almost made an excuse. But Rose's voice echoed in my head. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is show up. So I drove to San Antonio that Sunday morning. 3 hours on I-35, windows down, radio off. Just me and my thoughts and the strip malls and hill country rolling by. Mom answered the door. She looked older than I remembered. Or maybe I just never really looked before. Dad was in the living room. The TV was off. That alone told me this was serious. Dad always had the TV on. We sat around that same old wooden table. Mom had made coffee. She poured 3 cups with shaking hands. "Thank you for coming," she said. I nodded. Dad cleared his throat. "I want to start by saying I'm sorry." I stared at him. In 32 years, I could count on one hand the number of times I'd heard my father apologize. "We took advantage of you," he continued, looking at his coffee instead of at me. "We got comfortable letting you solve our problems. And when you couldn't anymore, instead of being grateful for what you'd already done, we got angry. That was wrong." Mom reached across the table, but stopped short of touching my hand. "I knew you were struggling. I knew it, and I didn't stop asking. Because it was easier to let you handle things than to make hard choices ourselves." "Why?" The word came out harsher than I intended. "Why did you keep asking when you knew I had nothing left to give?" She finally looked at me, and her eyes were full of tears. "Because I was ashamed. Ashamed that I couldn't provide for my family myself. That I needed my son to do what I should have been doing. And every time you sent money, it helped, but it also reminded me that I'd failed. And instead of dealing with that shame, I just let you keep carrying it for me." Dad nodded slowly. "And the more you gave, the more we expected. Until it wasn't generosity anymore. It was just what you did. I wanted to help," I said quietly. "I wanted to make your lives easier." "You did, Mio?" Mom said. "You made everything easier. Too easy. We forgot how to struggle, how to sacrifice, how to make things work on our own. Maria and Danny, Our learning, Dad interrupted. Maria got a second job. She and her husband are making it work. Danny's in rehab. Second time. But he's trying. I absorbed this information. How did you pay for rehab? We took out a loan. Against the house. Dad's jaw tightened. Should have done it years ago instead of coming to you. I sold the boat, he added. And your mom went back to cleaning houses? Dad, don't. His voice was firm. Don't feel bad about it. We should have been doing this all along. Taking care of our own mess instead of making you clean it up. We sat in silence for a while. The coffee got cold. I don't know how to be a family with you anymore, I finally admitted. I don't know what we are if I'm not the one fixing everything. Mom reached across the table again, and this time she did take my hand. Then maybe we figure that out together. Maybe we learn how to just be family, without money in the middle of it. I don't know if I can trust that it won't happen again. You shouldn't, Dad said bluntly. Not yet. Trust is earned. We broke it. Now we have to build it back. I looked at my father, really looked at him, saw the weight he was carrying, the pride he had to swallow to have this conversation. Okay, I said. So how do we start? We started slow. Sunday dinners once a month. Just talking. No mention of money, no requests, no hints about problems. Just family, trying to remember how to be family. Maria showed up to the second dinner. She was awkward at first, wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I'm sorry, she said when we were alone in the kitchen. For everything. For taking advantage. For getting mad when you set boundaries. For all of it. I'm sorry too, I said. For letting it get that bad. For not saying no earlier. You were trying to help. I was trying to be needed. That's not the same thing. She hugged me then. A real hug. I missed you. I missed you too. Danny came to the third dinner. He looked better, cleaner, healthier, more present. He shook my hand at the door. I'm 90 days sober, he said. That's great, man. I owe you money. A lot of money. I know I can't pay it all back, but I'm going to try. I got a job at the AutoZone. It's not much, but it's something. Danny, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Not for you. For me. I need to do this. I nodded. Okay. He handed me an envelope. There's $100 in there. It's all I've got right now. But I'll send more every month. Even if it's just $20. I'll send it. I took the envelope. Thank you. No, he said quietly. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when you should have. Summer turned to fall. The Sunday dinners continued. They weren't always comfortable. Sometimes old patterns tried to resurface. Mom would start to mention a problem, catch herself, redirect. Maria would make a joke about being broke, then apologize, but slowly something shifted. We started talking about other things, real things. Dad told stories about his childhood I'd never heard. Maria opened up about her struggles with her marriage, not asking for money, but just asking to be heard. Danny talked about the hard work of staying sober, of rebuilding himself and me. I started sharing too. About work, about my dreams, about the person I was trying to become. In October, I invited them all to see my apartment. My fully furnished adult apartment. Mom walked through slowly, touching the furniture, the framed pictures on the walls, the stocked kitchen. Mio, she said softly. This is beautiful. Thanks, Ma. She turned to me with tears in her eyes. I'm so proud of you. Not because of this, she gestured around the room, but because you figured out how to take care of yourself. I should have taught you that. Instead, I taught you to take care of everyone else first. You taught me a lot of good things too, Mom. I know, but I should have taught you that your needs matter, that you matter, Not just for what you can give, but for who you are. I hugged her tight. I'm learning that now. Christmas Eve, we were all at Mom and Dad's house. The table was crowded. Maria and her family, Danny, Rosa and her husband, a few cousins. The house smelled like tamales and menudo and all the foods of my childhood. We said grace before dinner. Dad asked me to lead it. Thank you for this food, I said, holding hands with my family around the table. Thank you for this family. Thank you for hard lessons learned and for second chances. Thank you for the struggle that teaches us what we're made of, and for the love that reminds us we don't have to face it alone. Amen. Amen, they echoed. We ate and laughed and told stories. Danny made everyone laugh with an impression of Dad that was too accurate. Maria's kids ran around screaming, high on tamales and sugar cookies. Mom played a game with Rosa's daughter. I sat back and watched them all. My messy, complicated human family, were we perfect? No. Were we fixed? Not entirely, but we were trying. And that was enough. Danny caught my eye from across the table and held up his glass of Dr. Pepper and a toast. I raised mine back. Later, as people were leaving, Mom pulled me aside. I have something for you, she said. She handed me an envelope. I opened it to find a check for $500. Mom, it's not much. I know it doesn't cover what you gave us over the years, but your dad and I, we've been putting away what we can. We want to start paying you back. You don't have to do this. I know, but I want to. We want to. Please let us. I looked at the check. $500. In the grand scheme of things, it was a tiny fraction of what I'd sent them. But it wasn't about the money. It was about dignity, about effort, about trying to make things right. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. She hugged me. Thank you, Mio, for everything, for being patient with us while we figured out how to be better. It's been almost 2 years now since I stopped sending money home. 2 years of rebuilding, of learning, of growing. I still see my family once a month for Sunday dinner. Maria and I text regularly about normal things, funny stuff her kids did. A show we're both watching, plans for Mom's birthday. Danny just celebrated a year sober. He's working full-time now and dating a nice woman he met at a meeting. Dad's health is better since he got serious about managing his diabetes. Mom's house is paid off. They refinanced and worked extra to do it. They're talking about retirement now, about maybe selling the house and moving into something smaller. And me? I'm still figuring out who I am when I'm not defined by what I can give. I bought a house last month. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. 3 bedrooms, a small yard, a neighborhood with trees. I have furniture in every room. I have savings. I have a retirement account that's actually growing. I also have boundaries. Real ones. Ones I maintain not out of anger, but out of love for my family and for myself. Last week, Maria called with a problem. Her water heater broke. For a second, that old familiar feeling surged up, the instinct to fix it, to send money, to solve the problem. That's rough, I said. What are you going to do? She sighed. I don't know. The savings account is looking pretty thin. We might have to put it on a credit card and pay it off over a few months. That sounds like a solid plan. Silence. Yeah, she said finally. It'll work out. It always does. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years when thinking about my family's problems. Peace, not because I didn't care, but because I trusted them to handle it. Trusted that struggling wouldn't break them. That figuring it out themselves would make them stronger, not weaker. And if they really needed help, they'd ask directly, and I could choose to give from a place of abundance. Not obligation. The thing about stories like mine is they don't really have neat endings. Families are ongoing, messy, complicated things. We hurt each other. We heal. We hurt again. We heal again. My family used my money for years. When I stopped, they turned against me. Those are the facts, but they're not the whole truth. The whole truth is they took advantage because I let them. I gave because it made me feel needed. They asked because I never said no. We were all complicit in a dynamic that hurt everyone involved. The whole truth is they loved me before the money. And they love me now after the money. The love was always there. We just had to learn how to untangle it from obligation and guilt and shame. The whole truth is, stopping the flow of money didn't end my relationship with my family. It saved it. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for people is let them carry their own weight. Let them struggle. Let them fail. Let them figure out that they're stronger than they thought. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I'm 33 now. I'm learning that my value isn't in what I can give, but in who I am. That family doesn't mean sacrificing yourself on the altar of everyone else's needs. That love and money are two different things, and mixing them too thoroughly poisons both. I'm learning that it's okay to have nice things, to sleep in a real bed, to save for my future, to say no without guilt consuming me. I'm learning that breaking a toxic pattern doesn't make you the villain. Even if the people benefiting from that pattern make you feel like one for a while, mostly, I'm learning that some bridges burn not to destroy, but to refine. The fire hurt, but what emerged on the other side was stronger, truer, more honest. My family and I, we're not perfect. We're not even fully healed, but we're honest with each other now. We're trying, and that's worth more than all the money I ever sent home, because at the end of the day, the greatest gift I ever gave my family wasn't financial. It was teaching them and myself that love doesn't have a price tag. And sometimes the hardest thing to learn is that family means showing up for each other without keeping score. It means grace and boundaries in equal measure. It means accepting that people are flawed and messy and sometimes selfish, and loving them anyway while still protecting yourself. It means that you can love someone and still say no. It means that you can miss people and still need space. It means that you can forgive without forgetting and rebuild without going back to what was broken. On Sunday, I'm going to Mom's house for dinner. We'll sit around that old wooden table and eat her cooking and talk and laugh. And when I leave, I'll drive home to my own house, to my own life, to the person I'm still becoming, and I'll feel, maybe for the first time in my adult life, free. Not free from my family, but free to love them the right way. Free to be both their son and my own person. Free to give when I choose to, not because I'm expected to. Free to finally take care of myself. And that freedom, that peace, it's worth more than any amount of money I could have kept or given away. It's worth everything.